It is 7 o'clock. We will call the November meeting of the Hartsville-Trousdale County Planning Commission to order. Shutter, would you call the roll, please? Here. Okay. Next is approval of our minutes. You have had those minutes for several days, plenty of time to look over them. Hopefully you've done so. Please look over those and see if there's any additions or corrections that need to be made. Hearing none, I would accept a motion to approve.
I make a motion.
Motion by Mr. Thomas to approve the last month's minutes. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Welch. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? No. Minutes are approved. Okay. No old business, so we'll get right into our new business. First item under new business, rezonings. We have a rezone request by Justin Trent Mawson for 1.23 acres from R2 to R3. And this is at 850 River Valley Road, and that's in the 7th District. Mr. Mawson, or if anyone's here representing him, please come to the mic over there. Tell us what you'd like to do.
Hello, yeah, we would just like to rezone for future development.
Okay, that's short and sweet. So what he's wanting to do then is to rezone the 1.23 acres from R2 to R3 in order to use it at some point in time in the future for some type of development. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Mawson? Okay. Rosalie?
Yes, so if you look in your packet, you'll see that this is right next to the property that was just rezoned to R3, and they have already pulled a building permit and had started work on that. In looking, when we were doing this before, you'll see that there's other R3 available. Remember, across River Street, there's an R3 development as well.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Rosalie? Jared?
No questions, but you know, in reviewing it, so I just had a couple items I noted. So in reviewing it, I looked at section 7.081, which is the application for rezoning. First thing I noticed, basically, my first question is, need a certification of authorized agency. You know, the owner appears to be Bruce and Crystal Garner, and we've got Mr. Trent Mawson, Justin Trent Mawson, submitted the application. So I didn't know if we had any type of.
Yes, I do have that on file. He has been given the authority to seek the rezoning through, and I have that documented through the owners.
Second item was just the written legal description of the property. I don't, maybe.
Typically, we don't require a legal written description of the property unless they were separating off a parcel of land from a larger parcel of land. The warranty deed usually suffices for the legal description, and we do have a copy of the warranty deed on file.
Okay, and I think we discussed that third item earlier, but the names and addresses of property owners across streets, property owners. I think we discussed that and you had that on file as well. Okay. And so I guess my last item that I identified was that it's required to submit the a map depicting, scale of no larger than 1 inch equals 100. And on that, it needs to provide the roads and easements along with adjoining property to be rezoned, location, size, type, and current use of any buildings, as well as the location of adjoining property owners in relation to the property need to be listed on that map as well.
Usually what we use is the TN property viewer, and that shows like a real-time view of what the property has, as well as the property details depicting any structures that are on the property that are being taxed. Now, are there any buildings on this property at this time?
There is a double wide trailer on the property right now.
And what are your plans for that?
Probably take it down eventually, in the near future.
Is it a rental property right now?
No, it's vacant. It's got a tree that's fell on it. Tree's been on there for 8 months or so. So there's, I imagine, a lot of water damage inside. I've not been inside of it yet. But I imagine with that, there's a lot of mold, just probably needs to be removed.
Okay. Jared, you got anything else?
No, those are the only items that I had noted.
Okay. So we're satisfied with everything? Okay, just as a reminder, I'll get to that, but I just wanted to remind the members of the planning commission that only the county commission can rezone property. The choice we're going to have before us tonight would be to send this to the county commission with one of three ratings, so to speak, or recommendations. We can send it with a recommendation of approval. We can send it with a recommendation of non-approval, and we can just send it. So I just wanted to remind, we haven't had a rezoning in a while. I just want to remind everyone of that. Now, any questions? Mr. Thomas?
Yes. So do we know what the water line diameter is down this road? Is it a 6 or a 4 inch?
I think it was a 6 inch because we approved the site plan for those townhomes that are being built. I believe it was a 6 inch.
And that was my concern is as we start changing these lots down through there to R3s, we're becoming more and more, denser and denser. So fire protection issues, are we starting to get a little ahead of our infrastructure is my concern.
Well, we could, of course, the water department would have to sign off on anything. But I would say 6-inch line's about as big as we've got in the county, isn't it? So they're probably at our max anyway. Other questions? Okay. So as I said, we can send this to the county commission with one of three recommendations. Would anyone like to make a motion? Yes, sir.
Make a motion, to send this forward with a favorable recommendation.
Have a motion by Mr. Welch to send this to the county commission with a favorable recommendation. Do I have a second? Second by Shutter. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed, please say no. Does pass. Thank you, sir. Next, we have another rezone request. This is by Dennis Koch. Dennis Koch for 10.78 acres, and this is from R1 to R3, and this is on Church Street. I know that, is he here? You see?
Would you like to speak or would you like me to?
Mr. Goke had given Rosalie permission to speak for him because there was a chance he wasn't going to be here, so they had that worked out. So, Ms. Rosalie?
Thank you. If you would please review the plat that I've handed out. It looks similar to this. Now, this plat has been recorded with the Register of Deeds. Unfortunately, the TN Property Viewer, which is the Tennessee tax map, has not been updated to reflect the separation of this from the parcel. At times, sometimes the Tennessee tax map, it takes a while to have things updated, especially at certain times of the year. So if you would review this rather than what you see in your packet as the parcel of land, because it does show like a 200-acre parcel of land, when in fact, what we're looking at for rezoning is just this 10.78 acres. The reason for the rezoning is that he would like to have this for future development. And if you look, it does not only have road frontage on Church Street, but it has road frontage also on Morrison Street as well. In speaking with the water department, it looks like the 6-inch water line and sewer line are along Church Street and not along Morrison Street. So any future development will have to take that into consideration. Yes, sir.
The area that there, is that where that little creek runs down through there? In between the church and Mr. Cothran's, used to be Mr. Cothran's house.
I'm not familiar with that creek. I know right above this property is Front Street, where we're having all of those other townhomes being built by the Langfords. It's right at the top of this property there.
I'm looking at the street going down, I'm trying to, I used to live there, but I'm trying to figure out where.
I think what he's asking, Rosalie, is here on Church Street, there was a white frame house on the right side going up where
Yeah.
Harold Cothran lived. Do you know where that
Right
house
past the
would
church,
be?
right past the church.
It would be, that Missionary Baptist Church would be there on the corner. Mr. Cothran's house would have been the very next house on a rather large lot. Is this part, what David's asking, is this part here on Church, that house, part of that lot?
Are you referencing where we've given Mr. Cothran, Mr. David Cothran the
No, it's
ability?
Harold Cothran lived
Okay.
there.
Then I'm not sure. I'm not familiar.
It just,
Who? Oh, okay, so it's not part of it. Okay, but it doesn't, Christie. Yeah, but Christie's is not in the 10.78. Okay,
so it has to run up the hill back in there for 10 acres, doesn't it?
yeah.
If you will go down Church Street, you'll see the rezoning sign that's been placed there, and there is an incline going up. It's a
It's right
nice slope going
Beside
up.
the apartments there, below the apartments.
That is correct. Mhm.
There's a little creek that runs down through there too. Used to flood a little every now and then. All right. Thank you.
Other questions? David?
So an R3 on 10 acres, how many multifamily dwellings can go on that?
Jarrett, would you like to answer that? How many dwellings would be on that R3 piece of property?
So. No, okay, so with an R3 zoning, if you did single family, you could do 78. Duplex is 52, and then if you're gonna do a multifamily dwelling units, you could do up to 129. So they're kind of just rough estimates there of what could be accomplished on the site with that R3 zoning.
To 129 possible residents. Okay,
Yeah, at the maximum, I'm thinking.
I understand.
But the limiting factor again would be the utilities and the ability to have the water and sewer.
David?
And my concern on that is also traffic there too, dumping out onto Church Street, that many. Even if you went onto Morrison, that's still a small 2-lane road up there, dropping traffic down. We're getting a lot of R3 kind of congested there.
Mhm.
And at 10 acres, 100 more, that's quite a bit.
I agree. It is. It's something the county commission, which you're a part of, will have to take a good long look at. Other questions? Okay. Again, our choice is one of three. Send this to the county commission with either a favorable, a not favorable, or no recommendation at all, as the county commission is the only entity that can rezone property. Do I have a motion? Yes, sir.
Because of the size of the property and the density, I would make a motion to send it with unfavorable.
Okay. I have a motion by Mr. Thomas to send this to the county commission with an unfavorable recommendation. Do I have a second? Okay. Give it to Moose. Have a second by Mr. Harper to, on that motion. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed, please say no. Okay, motion does pass with one no vote. Shut up. You got that, I'm sure. Okay. Moving on our agenda is site plan reviews. First up is the site plan review for a solar array for the new gas pumping station by East Tennessee Natural Gas on Preers Bend Road. This would be part of the Enbridge project. Sir, would you please state your name so our secretary can get that for her minutes?
Yes, sir. Brian Kuda, project manager with Enbridge.
Okay, and please go ahead.
Right. I will give I'll give a overview for folks that haven't heard about this project, and then some folks have heard this multiple times from us. The solar array is connected with the East Tennessee Natural Gas Ridgeline project. The East Tennessee Natural Gas Ridgeline project is a proposed 122-mile pipeline originating just over on Bass Road and heading all the way to the TVA coal-fired plant in Kingston, Tennessee, which is to be decommissioned, and they will be rebuilding with a new combined cycle gas plant. So our pipeline will parallel our existing East Tennessee natural gas pipeline that was built in 1949 and 1950. As part of the new pipeline, in order to compress the gas and deliver to Tennessee Valley Authority's proposed combined cycle plant in Kingston, we need a compressor station to compress the gas and deliver it at a certain pressure. As part of our gas compressor station, we have decided at the compressor station that we are going to put in electric motor drives. So that reduces air emissions rather than putting in gas turbines. So as part of that build, one of the things that Enbridge is doing as a company, how about I back up real quick? So East Tennessee Natural Gas LLC is a subsidiary of Enbridge. I sent the articles over earlier. We were here for BZA, so I know that was the first note on there. So I'll just so people aren't confused on what it is. This will be an East Tennessee Natural Gas LLC asset, but our overall company is Enbridge. So as part of this, one of the Enbridge initiatives is to look at more green power. That's one of TVA's initiatives as well. So in putting this project together, something we've been working on for about 4 years now, we've proposed a 8-megawatt solar array. The 8 megawatts can power about anywhere from like 12 to 20% of our electric motor drives. The rest of the power will be coming in to our new substation That'll be provided by TVA, but then to Tri-County. So we'll be a Tri-County electric customer, as we are at some of our other locations as well. So the solar array, site plan is the only portion of the whole project that is not jurisdictional under the Natural Gas Act. So Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, FERC, has the entire project from a NEPA review standpoint, so National Environmental Policy Act review standpoint. FERC is the lead agency, and then all the cooperating agencies are Tennessee Department of Environmental. That's for our 401 water quality certification. Nashville District Army Corps of Engineers, 404 water quality certification, National Park Service, U.S. Fish and Wildlife, Tennessee Department of Archaeology. Did I miss one last time, Mark? You said? That's good. So anyway, there multiple agencies go through the review process. So all of our stormwater calculations for this entire site that we purchased that has the compressor station on one side and the solar array on the other side, all the drainage calculations are in with TDEC as review for the 401 water quality, looking at pre and post conditions and not having any increase over pre and post conditions. That's also with the Corps of Engineers. That's part of the water quality certifications. And then, like I said, FERC takes all of that, issues an environmental impact statement, and then ultimately a certificate of need and necessity for us to then go and construct the project. Currently, we're anticipating the final environmental impact statement from FERC December of this year, so probably about a month from now, with a certificate vote. With the elections and things, the FERC commission is appointed, so we'll see what that commission is, but we're looking first quarter of next year for a vote on the certificate, start of construction October, November of 25, and in service flowing gas to TVA November 1st of 2026. So again, we have the solar array is not just offset. I mean, it's some redundancy as well. So, you know, if we're generating, you know, power from the solar array, we got multiple days of very good sunlight, and our panels can rotate as well and can move and follow the sun. And we're going to have east, northwest, and south facing panels on different slopes. So again, that'll depend on what it offsets from the power. Nighttime power will most likely come in from Tri-County to serve us. So we're seeking the site plan approval to put the solar array on the eastern portion of the parcel that we purchased back in May. And we will, upon site plan approval, start to finalize all of our engineering drawings and submit for a building permit. So, like I stated, the certificate of need and necessity that gets issued by FERC, and then ultimately they give us a notice to proceed to construction. That will give us authorization to build everything else except the solar array. So that falls with Rosalie for the building permit.
Okay. So I would assume that you was talking about construction starting possibly at some point next year.
Yeah, the compressor station is the compressor station to build and commission it to get everything, obviously, to all the troubleshooting, get it up and running, get it tied into the substation, get the solar array tied in. That's going to take us a good 10 months, 8 months of building, and then 2 months to commission it. The solar array is not quite as long, so we could start the solar array December 25, January 26, and still be done and have everything connected in to have gas up and running.
Yeah.
For that November 1st, 2026.
Yeah, I wouldn't think it'd take as long for just set the solar panels and hook them up. And then the compressor station, and then would y'all be constructing the Tri-County, electric site, or would they do that?
So we're gonna build the substation. We'll build the substation. TVA is going to upgrade based on the load studies. TVA will upgrade the power lines that are out there right now. They'll give Tri-County Electric a drop down to us, and then Tri-County will come into the substation. So we'll be a Tri-County Electric customer, not a TVA customer.
I understand.
Yeah.
Y'all are gonna be in charge of all the construction.
Yes, yes.
That's what I was getting
Except
at.
for, well, we will have a construction break point though at the substation where Tri-County will come in, we'll give them access,
Right.
to come in, make all the connections, make all the hookups, and then TVA will do any upgrades to the power lines north of
Okay.
us. to
Makes
the
sense.
north. Yep, so.
Okay.
I was looking through, some of the comments and, I did submit a very, detailed, construction sequencing set of drawings. I can provide those, or I know Rosalie has those. So if you want to go through the comments, we certainly can. But I believe we've addressed all of these with all the other drawings that were not in the package that you have. So I have detailed sequence of construction on how we're gonna maintain drainage during construction, all of our ENS controls. It has our fence line, it has our tree buffers, it has all of those things on it. We have our proposed planting plan. I think the one thing we don't have on there is we're not sure how we're gonna sign it yet. I noticed the signage sign. We will at least have, an Enbridge East Tennessee Natural Gas LLC sign, probably an emergency phone number to contact. Not quite sure of the signage yet on the solar, right? But that's something we can get back to you on with that.
They're all on the fence.
Yeah, they're all on it's on our perimeter fence. Yeah, it's not a separate, yeah, exactly. It's on our perimeter fence, just like the compressor station would be. So I saw that one. Like I said, the buffer strip, we have that. It's just not on this plan. There was so much to try to get on this one plan, including
I figured there was a full construction set someplace, or at least.
there is, and Rosalie has a
Grading,
flash drive with
yeah.
it, so.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see those. I mean, I only saw
This.
probably
right,
the
yeah.
Ridgeline expansion piece and then the smaller site plan, which
Yep.
showed essentially.
Yeah, and understood. I mean, I
Limited
blew up this
information.
2x3 sheet. I mean, you're welcome to keep I mean, just if it helps, but I mean, this is the overall site plan, but like I said, behind it, again, some of your slope.
There's
comments-
layers there. You can see them, but I
Yeah,
can't,
yeah.
I can't. read
And,
the-
and to some of your slope comments, those would be addressed as well, because as we go through the sequence of construction, we're going to be, we'll be stabilizing, putting in temporary water berms and temporary barriers and so on and so forth as we sequence it, because we have cuts and fills on the site to go through. So those plans are on a flash drive.
Okay, I'll see if I can get a hold of those though. Yeah, I know that they're there. I can see the contours. I can see the pieces in there. I just didn't have access to them to
Nope.
actually check them off, so.
No, understood. And that's why when I started looking through it, I said, that's there, that's there, that's
Thank you.
there. Yeah, so, I would leave that, Rosalie, up, I guess, how you want us to handle that. I mean, I could submit some separate drawings or if you want to distribute them.
If we can have a large drawing of like the site plan with like the buffer strip that we can keep in the office and send, somebody would stop by to be able to see the
Okay.
site plan and everything. And then, Jared, I could get you a copy of the thumb drive with all the other documents.
Yeah, that'd be great. That way I could review it against my comments and make sure everything's been addressed.
Gotcha.
I was telling Rosalie that might be a good thing for her to keep. That way, if county commission members came in wanting to look at something
Yep.
there, or the mayor needs to refer to
Mhm.
something, it's there in the office already, and
Sure.
that
Yep.
way they don't have to bother you gentlemen as much and
Yep.
stuff.
No, not a problem at all. Yeah. I mean, we can provide whatever you want to keep. Yeah, keep in
Okay.
the office for folks to talk about.
Jared, do you have anything else?
No, I think as long as I can get from Rosalie or a full plan set that I can review and just make sure that all of my concerns were addressed on the plans, then I think
Okay.
nothing else I need to add.
Rosalie, do you have anything?
I do not, but then again, I've seen all the drawings.
So,
You know.
would it be easier, Rosalie, for me to just have a set of a full size, a couple full-size sets of
Yes, please.
all the drawings just printed out, so that way you don't have to do it off the flash drive?
That
I
would
can
be
have,
great.
bring those in, okay.
Yes,
all right.
thank you very much.
Okay, questions?
Rosalie, refresh my memory. I know the commission passed a definition for solar farm, and that definition, were there any limiting factors? I can't remember off the top of my head.
The solar farm definition was for a commercial use. This would not fit that definition. This is for a utility
Industrial,
use.
yeah.
Utility use.
I thought you had another question. You look like you did.
Well, I'd like to go ahead and just make a motion to approve this
Okay,
with the exception that it does meet all the requirements once it's reviewed.
okay. So I do have a motion. Let me go back and see, does anybody have any questions? Anybody else have a question?
Will there be a barrier or fence around this? Will this be able to be seen from the road?
So from, so
Appears being
yeah,
maybe-
yes and no. I'm very limited, because of the way the topography of the land is. So, but we will have, the tree buffer and we will have the fence line, from up on Roms. I mean, that ends at the driveway, for Dr. Bratton. So that, I mean, where that ends, I mean, it would be visible from there, but coming down Pure Years, we can do, and we did some renderings before, about a couple of years ago, we came in, with some renderings that showed, actual photographs, looking at the compressor station, looking at the solar array. That's something that we've offered to do again. We can come in and show that and take a look at it. And if we can accommodate some additional trees, obviously with a solar array, they need to be certain type of trees so we don't shield them from the sun. So that's one of the things that we do
Don't
have to
need
look
much
at.
shade
Keeping
for
them,
a solar farm.
Yeah, at night we don't have sun, so we don't want to shade them with trees. So, but that is something we can look at. And
Okay.
certainly, welcome to come in and go to the commit. We've met with the full commission before and showed them renderings of the compressor station, paint styles and kind of barn style of the compressor station rather than just a sterile building, and same thing with the solar array. So
I think it's very good that y'all are trying your best to stay within the rural nature of the property and stuff. I
Ryan,
appreciate that.
yeah, we also took a while, and Art here helped me quite a bit, but with our security folks to keep the dark sky initiative as well. So we're gonna have, it's not gonna shine like the other our competitors' compressor stations. So we'll have downward lighting, some motion sensors, so the lights aren't on all the time. So that'll be part of the compressor station as well. So I mean, again, I'm open to walking folks through that at a commission meeting. I know Art is, so well.
Anything that you can do to help be a good neighbor is very appreciated. David?
So if anyone has been by Skyline Hospital, you can see it from the interstate going into Nashville. That whole hillside is a solar panel kind of farm generating for NES. From what the gentleman's described, it's gonna look just like that. That kind of gives you an option, an idea of what it's gonna look like. And as he said, there's only so much buffering you can do because then you're blocking the whole purpose of it. They already got the variance in BZA to be 37% versus 20. So, I mean, other than having a full-on site plan to look at, this being a review, Rosalie, this is the final time it'll be before us, correct? So.
Okay. Anybody else? Questions? We do have a motion. Have a second by Mr. Nolan. Any other discussion?
I'd like to thank Steve Demond for.
Okay. Mitch is going to abstain since he works for TVA.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Hearing none. All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed, please say no. Does pass.
Okay.
Thanks,
you very
sir.
much. Thank you.
We do have another site plan review. This is for an amendment to the original site plan by Do Re Mi Gospel Music Academy on Cedar Bluff Road. They want to add a new caretaker residence over there. Is that you, Jim?
But no, they've got all the existing infrastructure sets back off the road further and their classrooms and dormitory areas. They're looking to put a caretaker's residence up toward the front right there just for, taking care of it, security purposes, stuff like that. Be about 1,200 square feet. That's the only change. Everything else that you see on the drawing is already in existence.
So it's right up here near the road, right here. Okay. All right. Questions for Jim? Oh, okay. Anybody have a question for Jim before we move to Rosalie and Jerry? Okay. David, you want to go ahead and ask Rosalie?
So Rosalie, looking at this with the zoning, that puts a residence there. How does that affect the rest of the structures? Because the other structures are more business, right? Am I correct in that understanding?
It's more of a school, that type of thing. And they already have a caretaker. If, I know it's difficult to see on your site plan, but it's a very small structure there. That is the current caretaker's residence. So this would just be a double wide mobile home there now for the caretaker's residence.
I
And
guess my
he's there.
concern is two residents on one property.
That other little residence, from my understanding in talking with Mr. Dillard, would be like an office.
I like the fact it's up near the road. You said for security also, which being out in the country like that, I can see that perfectly. Right. Any other questions for, Rosalie, you want to go ahead with your,
I'm just gonna say, and if you notice that this is 22.26 acres and it is owned A1, is that correct, Jim?
Yes.
Which classifies it as a farm. They're allowed to have more than one living structure on an A1 piece of property.
any questions for Rosalie? Jared?
So when I reviewed it again, I still have that same question about, I know this is owned by Do Re Mi Music Academy, Inc. And I guess the question for Rosalie, if we have something on file, certification of authorized agent for that. So the site plan itself just needs a signature from the surveyor to be complete. Answer your question. So yeah, A1 does allow accessory structures on the property, as long as they meet the requirements of section 3.100. So one question I do have though is one of the stipulations is they do not use trailers, vans, mobile homes, buses, truck bodies, or automobiles for storage. I don't know if that applies to the structure as well, being a mobile or a mobile home itself. So that would be one question I would have.
What is that again?
Well, accessory structures are allowable in the A1, so, but they need to be, and this is per the section, incidental to the principal use established by the same lot. So, this is a church, so it's subordinate and serve the principal use. So this is going to be a caretaker's facility. the subordinate in area, intent and purpose. So obviously that's much smaller than the church. I don't know the actual dimensions of that. That's not listed anywhere on the. Can you tell me how big the actual structure is? Correct.
It's listed up there. You probably can't see it if you have a small time.
Yeah, I can't. Yeah, this is. And then, so getting down to your, so down at the bottom, it says not use trailers, vans, mobile homes, buses, or automobiles for storage. So from reading that, it sounds like the intent of that is don't use any of those to store other items in, but I don't know if that pertains to
Storing a human being.
storing human being, I guess, more or less, is a trailer an acceptable structure?
Right. I think they passed that several years ago. Yeah.
And then, so as far as the site plan, reviewing it against kind of the requirements, it needs to have topo lines on there with 5-foot intervals at least. And then, we did address 1,200 square feet, but it does need to have the floor area and building height. I mean, we can assume it's probably not greater than 3 feet, but that does need to be listed on there. If there's any fences and screening that are going to be required there, and the location of that, and then all of our utilities, I don't see any utilities on there, how those will be connected, as well as fire hydrants need to be identified.
Nothing that you said is gonna be an issue, that's not a problem, I can get revised site plan.
Okay, perfect.
So whoever, if someone wants to make a motion to approve, just do it with that Jim's gonna update with the, with the questions that Jared had. Through. Any questions for Jared? I'd just like to say I've always thought the Do-Re-Mi property was very attractive. It fits in well with the community, the Providence community. And I've always thought they took really good care of the property and everything. Yes, sir. Have a motion to approve the site plan review with Jim updating the things that Jared brought out. Second by Mr. Welch. Any discussion or questions? All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed, please say no. Does pass. All right, we've got a couple of preliminary plats. First, preliminary plat for an 11-lot subdivision on 7.15 acres at 345 Sam Beasley Road by L&E Properties. Is that you, Jim? Well, that's what it says on my paper here. Jim, you need to know who's signing your check. I understand. You always have to watch a Moreland.
There's more detail on this one, but it's basically that same thing. Approval is be glad to answer any questions you might have on it.
Anybody have any questions for Jim?
Yes, there is.
Do you have notated on this plat for sidewalks?
No, well, other than, no, I don't. No, I do not. I thought that was on my typical lot box over there, but it is not, so I'll have to get that fixed. Yes, it will require a fire hydrant thing, so that.
And I believe Craig told us last month when he was gonna have sidewalks and everything in there. Right. Right. So all the utilities are already there, sewer, water. Oh, okay, so it had to be, have to be extended. Okay. Bus should be able to turn around in any approved cul-de-sac. That shouldn't be an issue. Right. And of course, they have to get that signed off by, Mr. Scruggs. Who is the Scruggs, right? And yeah, there's never been an issue with a bus turning around with an approved cul-de-sac. Huh?
As long as it was an approved that got built.
There ain't no cul-de-sac up there. No, I'm just messing with him. That is a pain. I have to agree with David.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll bore under Sam Beasley and set a dog house in those probably, it'll just set over the existing main on the other side, so we don't have to, and we'll probably have to run a bypass line while construction's happening for probably 3 to 4 days. But it'll all be in the construction.
Okay.
But it should be fairly easy. There will be no off-site sewer line. It may be possible for some pumps to be upgraded in the pump station, and what was it called? I've seen down there working on it, I was curious. Probably a situation. Yeah, we might have to raise the horsepower of the pump, is what it is. But they were gonna. We're gonna go check and see what they were and let's.
Other questions? Supposedly, did I come to you on this?
No, I went ahead and commented.
Okay. We've kind of got to talking. It's kind of got past me here. Okay. Hearing no comments or any other questions, is it? Yes, sir. Oh, I hadn't met, you're the who I missed.
Yeah, you
I
missed
knew I
me.
missed
That's all right.
somebody. I'm sorry.
That's all right. I was just waiting patiently. So yeah, when I looked at reviewed it, so my questions were, as per the requirements of the preliminary site plans, it needed to have notes for the draining easements, site easements, and then a draft of proposed covenants. Okay, and then the final item would just be that final. I mean, Rosalie and I did talk about this one earlier about the approval sign off for the planning commission to be noted on there as well.
Oh, yeah, when it comes, when the final comes back, it's totally different, they still have all the certificates there. Usually doesn't have that on the there.
Okay.
Yeah, he's right. That's the way we usually operate. You have anything else for Jim? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
No, I think that's it.
Okay. So was there anything you've got that he needs to, you know what he's talking about has to be on the final?
Yes.
Okay. Right, okay. Right, like normal. Right. Right.
Yes, there will be certain things.
Okay.
I do have a question about the mail and how that is going to look. Are they gonna be able to pull in?
Okay. Yes, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
I have a motion by Mr. Thomas to approve. Do I have a second? Second by Shutter. Any other questions or discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say aye. Any opposed, please say no. It does pass. Thank you, Jim. And we do have one more preliminary plat for a 5-lot subdivision of 5.8 acres by Fleming Homes on Sulphur College. Is there anyone here to speak to that? Okay.
Yeah, my name is Bo Agee. I'm the surveyor that prepared that plat. Got any questions? I'm here to answer them.
Anybody have any questions for that gentleman? Okay, Rosalie?
Yes, and looking at this preliminary plat, most everything that we have asked to be done has been notated on this plat. All the contours, all the soil sites, all the easements, and the setbacks have been notated on here. The fire hydrant, the distance to the nearest fire hydrant has been notated, so this meets everything that we've asked.
Okay. Any questions for Rosalie? Jerry?
Yeah, I reviewed it, didn't find any issues with the plat as it is right now.
Okay. Well, I don't see how anybody would have a question for Jared since everything's on there. Questions, discussion from the members of the commission? Okay, hearing none, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Shutter to approve. Second by Mitch. Any other discussion and or questions? All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed, please say no. Does pass.
Thank you.
Okay, so on our discussion items, we don't have anything on there for tonight. Any member of the commission have anything needs to be announced or discussed or anything? Yes, sir.
So, in our Thursday meeting of codes and zoning, we came up with a, proposal for raising the impact fee. When I get that as a hard copy of that ordinance to go before the commission, I'd like to bring that through here just to kind of get some feedback on that. In what they've got proposed, it changed things up a bit. Instead of doing a lump sum and then, because we noticed something in the ordinance that we currently have, there's an or in there instead of an and. And so I know when the discussions came through planning, when this was back in 18, I completely missed that. I wasn't on the commission when it passed, so I couldn't have done anything there, but the way the current reads, it's $1,500 shall be the minimum impact fee, or, and then it says the greater of would be 70 cents per square foot. So the way that's being read right now is if you build a house 200 to 2140, you get pay $100 or $1,500. If you build a house that is 2145, it's 2145 times 70 cents. So it's actually because of the or, not an and.
Well, still, the minimum said 1,500.
It did. But that's
Okay.
how it's being done. So what we're proposing coming out of codes and zoning is to do, Rosalie presented us with the surrounding counties, kind of how they did it. And we kind of did a mashup of a couple. We're proposing a flat out $5,000 flat fee for residential, no matter how big your house is. And then for commercial, it's 5,000 flat fee for your first 5,000 square foot. After that, it's 50 cents a square foot beyond that, in addition to the 5,000. And then for industrial, it'll be a flat 7,500, no matter how big your warehouse or business is. So that's kind of what we were looking at. I'd like to hear any comments or discussion from this body.
My first inclination would be that I don't have a problem with the $5,000 per house minimum, because the impact on the school system and everything else is, that's not going to take care of it once it starts going. I do think people building much bigger homes make more of an impact. So I personally wouldn't mind seeing 5,000 plus something over so many square feet. But I mean, I'm sure y'all discussed all that and everything. So, but that's just my thinking.
So the discussion that came on, because we were looking at doing just a flat $2.50 per square foot, just across on residential, and just that's the way Macon County does theirs. Wilson County does the flat 5,000. So we were kind of looking at those two.
Wilson County's a flat 5.
Yes. So in the discussions, it came up with the statement being made that, you know, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, whether it's 1,200 square foot or whether it's 3,000 square foot, it's the same amount of residents, it's the same amount of impact to traffic, to everything. So the way we were doing it, we were having more houses built under that. So we really weren't getting any gains from the over anyway, even if we had factored it as an and, the way the discussions went when it was proposed. So that was the reasoning for just doing the flat.
Makes sense. Again, I have no problem with the 5,000. I mean, we're getting a lot of impact. That's the only way to, I don't think the property tax owners should bear the burden of that. Them, it's been here forever. So, yeah, whatever you want to do with it, I support you 100%. Anybody else got a statement or question about that?
So that was for industrial only. And granted, all this is only on new construction. If you're already moving into an industrial building and you're remodeling it, you don't pay an impact fee, you pay your permit fees, or for residential or commercial. So this would only be new structure, new breaking ground.
When do you plan on taking this to the full commission? I guess first, I don't know y'all's rules now. Does it go before finance and stuff first, or?
So that was the idea, that it would go to executive and then go from there to finance. So it'll go to executive in the January meeting, since we won't meet in December. And then, so hopefully we can get it into the January finance, but that'll be up to that chairman at that time.
Right. So maybe by spring.
Maybe.
No, I wasn't. That was not disparaging. It was hopeful. Thank you, David. Anybody else have anything? All right. Well, have a great Thanksgiving. Hope you enjoy time with your family and everything. Drive safely. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Mr. Noller. Second, Mr. Welch. We are adjourned. Thanks, everybody.